everybody.
From Salt Lake City,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast,
I'm Frank Feldman,
and moonlighting from the How To Heretic, I'm Uncle Doug.
sitting in for Dan.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for being here.
my pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a long while.
Yeah.
Too long.
Yeah,
We should have Dan go out of town more often.
I agreed.
No, of course not. We would never.
He's not listening.
Yeah, but coming up on the show today, on the later on in the show, we're going to be talking kind of a little bit a look back on the 2010s.
It's that time of year,
Yeah.
that time of the
Yeah.
decade.
It's 2020 now,
Yeah.
and you know, kind of thinking back to like what it felt like to be atheist 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and how it kind of feels a little different today, and we're gonna look at some numbers and everything. So
Awesome.
So yeah, so that'll be a thing. I figured let's get us started off with well, actually, this is a little bit of an update. There was a show that we talked about a couple weeks ago called The First Temptation of Christ on
boy.
Netflix. Yeah.
I had no idea about this. I
Yeah,
did completely miss this.
Well, I have now watched it,
Oh,
and I can say that it's fun.
it's a comedy.
Fun. It's
Yeah.
a comedy. They're having fun with the whole Jesus narrative.
Right.
Jesus comes home with his purported gay lover to sort of introduce him to the Holy Family.
Right.
God is kind of wandering around. And
Is
it's
this
clear
set
that
in-
he and Mary have been having an affair?
Oh,
Oh yeah, it's like it's in Bethlehem,
Okay.
or Nazareth,
Okay.
right? It would be supposedly Nazareth. And there's little jokes, and the Magi have shown up for his birthday, and they all have like it's like they have like their in jokes with each other about like, you know, like, why is there only water at the party? Well, Jesus isn't here yet, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, well. The good people of it's a Portuguese
Okay.
show, or
Okay.
a Portuguese language show produced in Brazil.
All right.
And the good people of Brazil have lost their goddamn minds over the show. Apparently, there have been 2 million people who have petitioned Netflix to remove the show, saying that it offends Christians. And the production offices of the group that put together the show, it's a group called it's in Portuguese, so Porta dos Fundos,
all right.
or back door, I think is what that means.
Okay.
And has been firebombed.
Holy cow.
I mean, is that what a Molotov cocktail is?
Yep.
A firebomb.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's been firebombed.
No kidding.
And so a group of Christians, upset Christians, identifying itself as the Popular Nationalist Insurgency Command of the large Brazilian integralist family.
Okay, first thing you need to do is shorten your name.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. The PNICLBIF. Yeah, that doesn't help either.
No, it doesn't.
So they are obviously like a pro-family, very conservative, pro-Christian, anti-gay organization, and they are very, very, very upset. And
Was anybody hurt?
no, a janitor. There was essentially nobody was in the building except for a janitor at the time,
Okay.
and the janitor was able to put out the fire.
Oh.
Even.
All right.
There is, however, security camera footage of the 4 men.
Four men?
Who, yeah, and I think they actually, they took video of themselves doing it, and then they posted online as part of their claim of it. But they're all masked.
Okay.
And then they do the garbled voice thing where we claim responsibility.
Oh, you're kidding.
Like the whole.
They went so far, and then whatever Molotov cocktail was so weak, the janitor just sprayed it with some water, and he's like, "Hey, you kids, get out of here!"
Yeah, exactly. And so I thought that was a good update. Let's see. This is actually, I didn't know what this whole integralist thing is. Apparently, it has, it's all about traditional family values and authoritarian politics.
That's what they claim.
Yeah, this is what it's about.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
Fair enough.
This is on the letterhead. It was formed in the 1930s to stress Christianity and to oppress differences in society. And basically, while this was going on in Brazil, we had fascism rising in Europe and whatnot. So it's all sort of in that same,
And it's been this organization, the PC7X- has been around.
So this is like this weird named group is actually the name is similar to the Brazilian Integralist Front, which is the legit one that dates back to the 30s.
Okay.
This group is claiming a lot of the same stuff and values, but they're not claiming to be part of this other thing.
Splitters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what you want.
Right.
Right. Your radical groups to fragment.
Truly.
And
yeah.
get violent.
Kudos to Netflix for having the wherewithal to put something like that together, they knew they were going to piss off Christians.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of impressive. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I have a little story that just fits so perfectly into this podcast. This is from, forgive me, it's the Religious News Service.
Yeah.
Actually, I got this one from BuzzFeed.
Oh, okay.
So the headline is, "Quitting job over 666 was, quote, a blessing, says Christian worker." And what it is this story. This actually happened back in 2012. This guy, he's an immigrant, which we'll talk about in a second, but he got on his paycheck the numbers 666 next to each other in the amount he got paid, and then that showed up on his W-2 as well. So that was enough. That was enough for him. That's the mark of the beast. So he quit his job, and this was back in 2012. And BuzzFeed kind of went back and visited with this guy whose life was actually, he got a better job. Oh. He got more money. It kind of worked out for this guy.
777 instead.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of great, but he's he emigrated from, his parents fled the Nazis, and then he lived in Poland under the communists.
Okay.
And so he seems to have a pretty good idea of what true evil is from his life experience.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And the oppression of 666 on his paycheck was too much. And there's a couple really money quotes in here where he says, it's kind of what he's not. I mean, that you're going to get noticed when you walk out for the 666 thing. And
sure.
Christian publications and people who were making fun of him gave him a lot of notoriety back in 2012.
Okay.
But he says, "I don't want to be a Hollywood man," and it's kind of eschewed the spotlight, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so he's actually got a line of books he's writing about the Bible that he doesn't charge money for. So,
okay.
Yeah, fairly interesting young man. And again, it's, this is out of Revelation 13. Here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for the number is of a man, and the number is 600, 666. 666. No mentioning about, when it appears on tax documents, or if it can be interrupted by a decimal, right, or if it's just randomly around, or they have to be next to each other, but for him.
You know what, though? I mean, it's like what the line about pornography. You know it.
You know when you see it.
When you see it. The mark of the beast. You know it when you see it.
What a lovely man. Good for him.
Oh, all right. Well, something delightful happened. Pope Francis, everybody. He's probably the least objectionable pope, especially in a very long time.
If there has to be a pope, maybe more of this and less of everyone else.
He seems to care about the poor legitimately. He doesn't like all the pomp and whatnot. He's kind of rejected a lot of the trappings of the papacy. But he's the Pope.
He's still the Pope.
And he goes out into public and he does his little thing, and he likes to get out and shake people's hands. He likes to reach out into the crowd.
He's a man of the people.
Man of the people. Well, did you see this video?
Oh, yes. I've seen this video.
The Pope's just he's out there. This is what, New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
He just given his New Year's Eve homily
Right.
or whatever, and he's working the crowd. And there's this video of him, and apparently he was kind of seeking out the hands of children.
Right.
But then as he's turning away, a woman in the crowd, like, she just like reaches out and just grabs his hand.
Yep.
And she's holding on with both her hands, and she really pulls him.
She yanked him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost lost his balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And quite like understandably,
Yeah.
he didn't like this. Right. And so he sort of Pope slaps, He kind of does this little slappy thing and pulls away. And as he's turning away, I mean, the look on his face, he was
Pissed.
really legitimately pissed.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's an old man as well. Like,
Exactly.
he could have really taken a tumble.
You can't yank on an old man's arm like that and expect not to get a pity, 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 pity.
Yeah, the slap was a good one. But anyway, people were outraged that the Pope lost his
cool.
his temper,
Right.
and so he ends up having to apologize. And who knows? I don't even know if he had to. Like, I don't know that people were like, forcing him to apologize. But during, I guess on Wednesday, what would that have been New Year's Day, right? He offered an apology during some traditional New Year's remarks or something. I don't know. But he says, many times we lose our patience. I do too. And I'm sorry for yesterday's bad example.
That's a completely reasonable apology.
Yeah.
And I think she yanked him so hard, it had to have hurt.
Probably.
Like it could be classified as an assault almost, the way she yanked on him. So, I think we can all agree that the Pope is not infallible, especially the fact that he had to offer an apology. But he is, like you said, he's an old man.
Yeah.
And this woman yanked on him and got the lightest of slaps.
It was as much as he could muster, though.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. I just loved the technique, the form, right?
Oh, man. That was, and it was everywhere on social media. Like, it exploded all over social media.
Well, and what was the general, because I don't do social media, what was the general take? Were people like how dare he?
Both things.
Because the headlines made it sound like, because the headline of this one essentially says that he slapped a clinging pilgrim. Right, he slapped a pilgrim. Right, how dare you?
That's one way to spin it. She crossed herself right before he got. She clearly was not. It wasn't meant maliciously on her part. She was desperately overwhelmed by the moment.
Right,
but man, she yanked on a. However, how old is he?
He's 80 something, mid 80s.
Gave him a hell of a yank.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were making fun of it, because at the end of the day, he's just an old man.
I know.
He's going to react like that. How should he have reacted? Like what should he have done?
God bless you, my child.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, that's what they wanted. Imagine if that had been Benedict, though.
Oh. I don't think Benedict would have been within 100 feet of the people, first of all. But yeah, I don't know.
How dare you?
He would have shot lightning out of his hands.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so this is kind of a little bit of a local flair.
Oh, yeah?
You guys often and very well cover General Conference. Every 6 months, the Mormon Church has their semi-annual General Conference.
Yeah.
And it is a snooze fest. It's hard. Have you recently watched did you watch the last one?
No. I avoid it like the plague. I'll read like rundowns of it afterward.
It's
so that we can like talk about it. But I refuse.
It's such white noise when you're literally watching it and trying to pay attention, and then you realize 10 minutes has passed. and you have no idea what's been said. You're like, oh, damn it. So last General Conference, the president of the church, Russell M. Nelson, gave a speech, and Mormons always look forward to the new General Conference like something big is going to happen.
Yeah.
You guys have talked about this. They're always
Take your vitamins.
Yeah, take your vitamins. We're off to Adam on Diamond. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so the Russell M. Nelson last conference at the end, when he wrapped it up, he said that not only was a quote, General Conference next April will not only be memorable, it will be unforgettable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we don't know what that means yet. But, I forgot to mention, it's the 200th anniversary of Joseph Smith's first vision. Whichever version of that first vision.
Is it
200 years.
1820?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Isn't that crazy? So
Oh my God.
they're going all in. They're going big.
They're spending like
Well,
0.001.
so like $10 billion, right? Yeah, exactly. So what are the chances that this is going to be unforgettable? I can only gaggle and I can't wait to see what they have in mind to make this unforgettable conference.
Joseph Smith hologram.
Oh, please, please go full Tupac. Anyway, so in preparation for this, a fan, I guess that's what you call him, a fanatic of the Mormon Church, made a trailer for General Conference next year. And it's true.
This is for the upcoming.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So it's the bicentennial General Conference, and it's adorable. It's really cute. It's too long and it's muddled and it's a mess. But the epic voice guy for the trailer is Russell M. Nelson reading his quotes. And when your epic voice guy is a 96-year-old Mormon from rural Utah, it's not going to come off very well. It is the most, and it's just interspersed. Remember all the old clips we used to watch as young Mormons of the first vision?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's all of those spliced together. Some of them are kind of good quality, and some of them are not. But they always have very handsome young blonde men playing Joseph Smith.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you really want to laugh, go to YouTube and search for the trailer for the General Conference next year. Or no, this year. Shit.
It's coming up.
We're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like oh God, everybody start taking your vitamins now.
I can't.
We're like 4 months away.
I can't wait.
Right? It's in April?
It's in April. Yep.
Oh.
I can't wait. I'm actually excited.
We only have 3 months to get through because it's at the beginning, right?
We do it.
It's at the beginning of April.
When do we camp out outside of General Conference?
I say now. Like, get your tent. It's like
let's just be homeless.
It's like it's a Star War.
Right.
You know?
Star War. That's awesome.
All right. Well, here's an interesting story about a woman who in Texas who works at a fast food joint, a Chicken Express, some kind of fried chicken joint.
I don't know it.
I don't know it either, but apparently it's a chain. It's all over Texas, and her name is Stephanie Coleman. She's 22 years old, and she's a recent convert to Islam.
Oh,
and so she, for the very first time, came just very recently came waltzing into work wearing a hijab.
Okay.
And one of the first things out of her manager's mouth was, "Take off anything that doesn't involve Chicken Express." And she goes, and she admits she knows what he's talking about. But she says that she didn't react. She says, I went to the back and took off my jacket and my purse.
Okay.
Right. 5 minutes later, he called me into the office telling me that I have to take it off because it's not part of the work uniform.
Oh boy.
And so he says, your job is your job. Your job has nothing to do with religion. Oh, no. Right? Oh, poor guy. Poor guy. There's some shit that's about to come crashing down around him. It says the job requires a specific uniform. The hijab is not a part of the uniform. You as a paid employee cannot wear it. Okay, and this is all on video.
Oh my God.
She was smart enough to have her phone running.
Oh my God.
And he's dumb enough to be just blathering on.
Oh.
Right? So apparently, well, let's see. He in another video he's heard actually citing from the Chicken Express employee handbook.
Okay.
Right. CNN got their hands on a copy of the handbook. And it does not reference headscarves or anything like that. It only says that only the Chicken Express hats or visors may be worn.
Okay.
And so he'd read the handbook,
Yeah.
and he's like, no, you can't wear that.
Right.
Right. Company lawyer, Rhett Warren, has told CNN that sending her home was a mistake and that she is not facing discrimination for her decision to wear a headscarf or for being Muslim. The manager's decision to send Ms. Coleman home for wearing the headscarf was due to a lack of training. The manager was using a strict interpretation of the company policy that does not allow derivations from the standard employee uniform, and he unfortunately did not take religious liberty into consideration.
You think?
But shouldn't that have been already somehow like some mention that there's like that there are, absent religious exemptions, right? This is the uniform.
And has this restaurant manager not been living on the planet Earth for the past 20 years? Like just knowing what hornet's nest you're poking.
But you probably thought that it was going to be a bunch of fun, right? Don't you think? I mean,
well, we happen to know a lot of restaurant managers with Napoleon complexes.
He probably had no clue it was going to blow up. I mean, she walked right home and posted on Twitter.
Did the ACLU like materialize in her living room right then?
It's a miracle. Yeah. She said, this quote, like, there's no reason to read her tweet. But she tells the whole story in the tweet and it just blows up, of course.
Of course.
Right? And apparently, they were really clear. What the company was like, listen, you're paid for the shift that you missed.
Sure. Please don't sue us. Please don't sue us.
They said that, you're welcome to come back to work.
Right.
Your job is still here. And she came back. She actually went back to work.
Okay.
Right. And, but one of the employees there, harassed her during her shift and she left. So I don't know. I think Chicken Express might soon be halal.
I know one thing. There's a job opening at Chicken Express in Texas. If anybody's interested,
It has a new owner, a 22-year-old recent convert to Islam. Oh man. Boy. Well, all right. I guess that's that. If anybody would like to join in and comment on anything that we've had to say so far on the show, please do so. The email address is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. You can also call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. And if you're going to Facebook, you might as well also search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge. Request to join. It's a closed group. It's moderated, and it's pretty awesome. So stick around. We got a little bit more show coming up.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Hey, Doug.
Yes.
Do you know who this Mark Taylor guy is? Is this a name that you're familiar with?
I'm not familiar with Mark Taylor.
Okay, he is the firefighter prophet.
Okay.
Who, not to be confused with some of the other strange, they always connect their former profession to their current weird podcast life, right? So he's the firefighter prophet. There's there's Coach Dave, right? No longer a coach, so forth and so on. Anyway, he's a right-wing conspiracy theorist who mixes in a lot of religion.
Oh, good.
Right, to his whole thing, of course.
What can go wrong?
What else, what else would you do? Well, anyway, we got a little clip of him with just some more of his prophesying about like Trump and current events, but there's a nugget in here that is part of this terrifying thing that we've been talking about on the show a lot lately, which is this militarized right. And he references it, and he talks about kind of where he thinks they're at the moment. And I think he might have a better sense of this than we do.
Right.
So let's have a listen.
I gave a prophetic warning. I know that there is a plan in place, that God has the plan, just like with Q and with the president and all this, there's a plan in place. But I did give a prophetic warning that there's a very strict timeline that this all has to take place. And I know that we're on that timeline. And because if we act too soon, certain things could happen. You know, these people get off on a technicality because there's certain assets that have to be in place, like judges, all these things, right? DOJ has to be cleaned out, FBI. So you've got too soon and then you've got too long. So right in between these two time markers, they've got to act. And if they wait too long, this is what's going to end up happening if we're not careful, is that you will see some civil unrest. I'm not going to say civil war, but you'll see some civil unrest because patriots are tired of it. They're not going to put up with it anymore. And so I'm an outdoorsman. I've hunted and I fished my entire life. I grew up hunting and fishing. I grew up around guns. And so I'm around the gun community. I hear the talk. And so this talk is beginning to escalate, like the malicious type stuff. And they're getting ready to take up arms and take things into their own hands if they don't see something happen. Mm-hmm. So this is why I've been saying that they've got to make at least one high-profile arrest. Perp walk the son of a gun, whoever it is. I don't care who it is. Perp walk them in handcuffs on national television to set the stage and to let people know, yes, we are very serious about justice. Justice has fallen, and it would buy them a little bit more time for the rest of the process.
That's nice. He seems nice.
Yeah, no. Yeah. No, he's he has prophecies. You know. He hears God talking and
there's such BS. Some people are saying, no, you're saying.
Yeah.
You're the one running this rhetoric. You're the one giving life to it.
Yeah.
And it's really scary.
I know, like it's like the thing that he's right about is that all they need at this point is an excuse.
Yes.
Right. And he's that, I mean, that's it. Like I don't know that the pressure is high enough yet, but it's getting there. We're going to be actually talking about some of these issues,
right?
In at the toward the on the second half of the show, yeah,
they want this
stuff. Yeah,
they want this so badly.
Yeah,
and they've had apocalypse on the mind for a long time, and they're close.
Yeah,
and they legitimately want things to go badly.
Just don't say that. It's just the worst.
Well, and what's that reference to? I'm hanging around guns. So I'm assuming what he's saying is at the gun ranges.
Yeah,
people are talking about like, all right, yeah, it's time.
His hunting buddies and the guys down at the range.
But if perp walking, Hillary Clinton will prevent the Civil War, I say go get her.
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah, I'm no fan.
Just give us a perp walk and we'll be fine. We'll calm down. We won't continue to want revolution.
That?
I don't know.
No, come on. That's not going to satisfy you.
No. You want this thing and you will always want this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right.
That's fun.
All right. Well, we'll do voicemails and emails next week when Dan's back. But we do need to make sure that we thank some new patrons.
Awesome.
On Patreon. We have a new faithful listener, Naomi, and a new venerable listener, Joe. So thank you to the both of you. These kind folks, they went to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and clicked on the support tab and followed it over to Patreon, where we've had this campaign going for quite a while now. The whole point is that we're trying to hit this goal where we go 100% listener supported. We get rid of the ads. Right now, we're doing 3/4 of the shows. The actual episodes are ad free, and that's the level that we've gotten ourselves to. But we do need a little bit more support to go 100%. We'll turn off the ads forever. But the great thing is, if you go to Patreon now, you get access to an ad-free version of the show. Right?
Hooray!
So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, there's our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Davis!
Davis.
Thanks, guys. Okay, Doug.
Right, Frank.
We've promised a discussion, or at least a little look back on the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
And, like we were talking before the show, and, Dan and I have been doing Thank God I'm Atheist for 10 years. We've been doing it for about 8. But, and that's when I, obviously really started paying closer attention to things that were going on. And I just remember that it was like we felt this need to sort of, shout out into the void.
Sure.
And try to connect with other atheists. We knew there was a community out there. We knew that the movement was growing. But this was still the era of the Four Horsemen. Right. Where it was also the era of the angry atheist.
Yeah.
Right.
The new atheists, I think they were called.
Yeah, exactly. and part of our thing was we were like, we just want to go on and be happy guys and just take a different, stab at atheism. But it still did feel like we were in the vast minority in this country. And the numbers are coming in for sort of where we're at now, as we're starting a new decade. And I thought it would be interesting to talk about, how easy it is for us to continue looking at this radical right Christian boogeyman, right? And feel really sort of scared about our place and our standing, because it is Trump's America.
Yep.
Right. But at the same time, the numbers are just like crazy encouraging.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I thought we could just start in particular with this study, this look at some numbers that are coming from, I think it was I'm looking at the wrong one. NBC has the
There we go.
So it's actually NBC.
I'm really glad because I'm like, oh no, I read the wrong article.
I printed this one out because it had some interesting stuff in it. But yeah, no, this NBC article has some really interesting some numbers, right?
Yeah.
They're talking about sort of at the beginning of the decade, the percentage of white Christians in the country, in the general population, was 53%, and it's dropped down to 42%.
Wow.
So we went from them still being the majority of this country to now being a decided minority.
Right.
And it's one of those things where it's a minority majority or majority minority, right? Where they're still the largest group.
Right, but they're not
actually over that 50%
It's like
line.
that majority versus plurality thing that I've never been able to wrap my head around. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Right? But
I don't
yes,
know.
you got it.
I haven't wrapped my head around that either, so can't help you out with it. But nonetheless, but some of the more shocking things are that the white evangelical Protestants, that has dropped down to 15%.
Wow.
From the 21% that they were just 10 years ago, which means that they are tied now with mainline Protestants as far as their makeup of this country.
That's amazing.
And also what's crazy is that it's the white Christianity is what's failing, right?
Right.
The other religious groups in the country are staying pretty solid. Their numbers really aren't moving around that much. But white Christianity, not only has it fallen percentage-wise, it has actually fallen in hard numbers,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And so they're actually dying quicker than they can make new ones. And that's fantastic.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful news. And it's, you're absolutely right. The new atheists and the Four Horsemen, it felt good at the time for us because we felt that we were just coming out of the Bush years at the beginning of the 2010s.
Yeah.
And Obama was a hopeful thing, but we had just been through an avowedly evangelically Christian administration that got us the Iraq War and Katrina and Abu Ghraib.
Yeah.
They were very dark days.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like things were trending in our direction.
Yeah.
And so it's been an interesting decade to see these numbers now.
Yeah. Well, I never appreciated Christianity's ability to be so off-putting to their children, right? Like, because I mean, that's the drop-off.
Yeah,
it's the young people. There was another number in here where basically conservatives. Oh God, I'm gonna have to find the number. So it's Americans under the age of 30. Of Americans under the age of 30, only 18% identify as conservative.
Wow.
And 75% support same-sex marriage.
That is...
as just an indicator of like where their mindset is.
Yeah.
And so it's really, I mean, gay marriage in particular was one of the culture war, like the great issue of the culture war. And it just felt like the Christians were never going to, they thought they really had a winner.
Yeah.
In their opposition.
And they did in 2004.
Yeah, they did.
It was a massively winning issue for them.
And they just kept beating that drum, and they had no idea how alienating that was going to become. And now they can't back off on their opposition, and they're not going to.
No.
And their kids are just...
They're done with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't animate them.
In droves.
Yeah.
Amazing. Some other interesting numbers. The median age of white Christians is 55 years old, which is 7 years older than the general population at 48 years old, and 17 years older than religiously unaffiliated Americans.
Wow.
Which is 38 years old. So, I mean, there's this, it is a generational divide and gap that's happening, but it's also one that seems like it's just going to fix itself, right? Like, just give it enough time and they're all going to die off, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, 10 more years, 15, 20 more years, these guys are going to be so completely irrelevant.
Right.
And so completely disconnected. And
the demographic bomb that is headed towards them is ruinous.
Yeah.
But the scary part, and I don't want to put a downer on it, but they're not gone yet.
No, that's true.
And Trump didn't win the popular vote.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like they are disproportionately represented in state houses and our state, for example.
Yeah.
And they're going to go away eventually.
Right.
But there's nothing more dangerous than a wounded animal.
Yeah.
And we've got to live with this wounded animal for another decade or two until it finally kicks the bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you see that thing that came out in the Tribune this week? The numbers about Utah's shifting demographics and the fact that Utahns, for the first time in history, are no longer making enough babies to sustain the population, sustain the population.
No kidding.
We're under the point of we're at a 2.01% birth rate. And you have to be 2.1% to just keep your population steady.
So we're shrinking.
By, the native population is shrinking.
Right.
Right.
Right. Which is...
the native population. The Mormon American population.
That native population is the Mormon population, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People are not moving here, I don't think. I didn't read the article.
Right.
I would venture to guess that it's all the tech that's coming into Utah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's washing out the
the state's growing by leaps and bounds population wise.
But the native, the indigenous. No, that's not better.
That's not the right one either. What is it? Yeah, no, the
Original.
No, that's not it either. No, shoot. No, but yeah, this dominant force in the state has the tides have really shifted. They're young people, just they're having kids later, just like everybody. And they're just not as interested in having these massive families. It was like 30 years ago, Utah had like a 4.5 or 4.6% birth rate.
Oh my God.
Just the state was growing, but only because Mormons were just having so many kids.
Yeah, but this new generation of Mormons that are now entering into marriage as we speak, the numbers on their membership in the Mormon church are cratering, just like all these other evangelical churches. Yeah. And you're right. They don't want to be in the church or they don't want to have 10 kids.
Right.
So, yeah, good.
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
Right? Yeah.
But what's my problem? Our legislature is still 90% Mormon because
isn't it infuriating?
It's infuriating.
Yeah. We have to get some people running for office.
I agree. It's so bad.
But we're pretty gerrymandered as well. And it is a funny thing. There seems to be like the Democrats who are getting elected. I don't know if you've noticed that we're in these really tight, races where the Democrat happens to win in this state. They're always Mormon Democrats.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
Right? Yeah. Like Ben McAdams is a Mormon,
true. Right?
Suzanne Harrison is a name that pops to mind. She's the one who got LeVar Christensen out.
Yeah.
Okay, this just got really Utah. Sorry, everybody. But like there's these really, there's still even them, right? These people who would generally side with the left, right, on most issues, they're still Mormons.
Yeah.
And that's really, it seemed, for whatever reason, it's still seen as like the way to get into office. I mean, even the Dems, when it's a tight race, they run a Mormon.
I just think if in this state, unfortunately, if you're not a Mormon, you're pretty much guaranteed to not win. I mean, there's only so many Jim DeBaccuses, right?
Right, exactly.
Thank God.
Oh, local humor, everyone. But anyway, but we promised also some scary stuff in this discussion, because this is the death throes.
Yep,
right?
I agree.
We have these groups, like we just listened to the Mark Taylor clip, where these patriots, right, and these militias, right, it's probably a better word, that are out there and they're training. They currently legitimately are training. There's this Matt Shea fellow who is a member currently, as far as I know, he's still a member of the Washington State Legislature. He was at one point he was chair of the Republican caucus in their state legislature, but he admitted that he had written a manifesto on the biblical basis for war. We've talked about him on the show before, and that he's training these young men in the art of combat, like hand-to-hand combat, close quarters combat, like short range, like and like full on a fucking militia. And he's also this fellow who has been calling for the 51st state in they want to take Eastern Washington and divide it off and create a Christian state.
Great.
Because, there aren't enough of those.
Have you been to Eastern Washington?
No.
So, Portland and that side of Washington is not Portland. Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
Is fantastic. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But you go over in the east side and it is, I wouldn't go there with an Obama sticker or on my car.
Really?
Yeah. It's
really.
But then again, there's parts of our lovely state where I wouldn't do that either.
Oh, I don't know. But anyway, so, but he's getting in more and more and more trouble. Apparently the House of Representatives was like, they called on the FBI to dig in, And they allege that he is a leader in the Patriot movement. He has planned, engaged in, and promoted a total of 3 armed conflicts of political violence against the United States government in 3 states outside of the state of Washington over a 3-year period. He was heavily involved in the Ammon Bundy crap back in 2016, where they occupied some federal land.
A bird refuge.
Is that what it was? Okay. I thought it was over like grazing rights. Or was that a different one?
It was, but for some reason that's the building they chose to target because it was a federal government building. Okay. Technically.
Sounds great. Yeah. Anyway, he created a detailed military-style plan for that occupation. It was called Occupation Cold Reality, and he had a code name, the Verimbulator. It's just great code name.
Sounds like a wrestler.
Verimbulator. I think it has like true warrior maybe in Latin or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, boomer.
So he's been involved in all these things. So he has now been suspended from the House Republican caucus. This is where the Republicans step in and they're like, oh, okay, we're going to believe this.
2 acts of armed insurrection are okay, but 3.
But how dare you, sir? But so, I mean, these guys are out there, right? And this article talks about how, that there's these how many times does it take a Tucker Carlson, right, informing his viewers that Democrats are plotting a coup, right, to get them all worked up? What fucking coup, right? I wish we were that organized. There are no Democratic militias out there. No. Oh my God. Laura Ingraham, right? Talking about immigrants that are turning formerly Republican states into petri dishes of radical left-wing ideas.
Oh, that's nice.
Right? These people, just like, the fireman prophet. Yeah. Obviously him on a much, smaller scale, but they're winding these guys up. Yep. And
they're not gonna go quietly because these numbers show they are generationally going to lose this battle. Yeah. So if they feel persecuted and put upon now, right? Imagine how they're going to act when they are truly in the minority, losing elections all over the country. Yeah. Gay marriage is not going away. Right. Etc. So and they're arming and practicing. That's good.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And they find young men who these, they've got probably social problems.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And they
incels is what they're called.
Yeah. And they prey upon them. Yeah. And they
recruit them.
They recruit them. They legit recruit them.
This is what Al Qaeda and yes. ISIS are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You find disaffected young men, almost always men. Yeah. And they're very easy to prey upon. Yeah. And people like shooting guns. So here we go.
So much fun. But one of his groups, and here's just one more fun detail. The whole impeachment thing. Well, Trump, he had a tweet back in September where he said that if Democrats were successful in removing him from office, it will cause a civil war like fracture. Yeah. Right. And so this Matt Shea fellow, one of his organizations is called the Oath Keepers.
Oh God.
And of course they retweeted and they said, "This is the truth. We are on the verge of a hot civil war. Like in 1859, that's where we are."
Great.
So, I mean, I don't want to scare anyone.
I mean, what's the response? What can we do? I mean,
I think we just keep doing what we have been doing, to be honest. Like, we just keep, what are we to do? Right.
I don't know.
I think we just we keep letting the Christianity destroy itself.
Yeah.
Right. And truly, like, the evangelicals being so in bed with Trump,
I agree.
It has tarnished them to no end.
It's going to do so much damage because he will one day go away.
Yeah.
One way or another, he's going to lose or he's going to croak.
And where are they going to be at that point?
Yeah. What have they got left?
Mike Pence?
Eh.
I mean, he just doesn't speak to the broader Trump supporters.
No, they love his chest thumping racism and misogyny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike Pence doesn't have that. He's too milquetoast. He might believe it, but he just
Indeed. Well, all right.
well, that was a fun way to end the show.
That's what we're here for. Thank God I'm atheist. It can't always be happy. All right, guys. Well, we sure do appreciate you. And thank you for tuning in. If you would like to join the conversation and tell us what you're afraid of, you can do so. Please email us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. You can call and leave us a voicemail. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. We're also on Twitter @TGIAtheist. And you should search for us on Facebook, or search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge on Facebook and request to join. It's an awesome group. Big thanks goes out to Mackenzie for all of her hard work on Facebook. Also to Danny and Amy for their work moderating the Members Only Lounge. We couldn't do it without you. And then, of course, a big thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music, and to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music. And thank you, Doug, so much for being here, making some time.
Thanks for having me back.
In. It really was great.
Awesome.
And thank you, dear listener, for listening. Dan will be back next week, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.